I keep getting interrupted because this time is because my phone ran out of storage. But I was saying that, of course, there's a lot of pages in this thing because there's a lot of fucking songs on this thing, so there would be. This CD is in blue instead of the other one, which is in pink. But I mean, yeah, I think that it mostly does justice to its 2.5-hour runtime. It's pretty consistent. I mean, there are obviously some songs that I don't think are that great. Some songs I think like conceptually kind of fell flat on his face. I don't know. I can't think of any songs that I really hate on this thing. I mean, I can tell you I love 1979 and Jelly Belly, and of course Bullet with Butterfly Wings, and XYU I think is great. Through the Eyes of Ruby. Yeah, there's so many good songs on here. It's kind of hard to knock on it for its length. Like I said, with the Kamasi Washington, which we'll get to. We're gonna look at that along with every other fucking record in my collection. Some more 90s rock classics. Soundgarden, Super Unknown. I don't know if anyone will agree with me that this is probably the best thing that happened during the grunge era. You know, I think Nirvana's fine. I think they've made some good albums, and especially In Utero is a great one. I also like Allison Chains. I think they're pretty hard. They go pretty hard. And Pearl Jam, I just don't want to ever hear Pearl Jam again, really. I would rather not. However, Soundgarden, if it's only for Chris Cornell's voice, Soundgarden would still be the best grunge band, I think, out of the four. Also, Stereo Jacks, again, because they're great. But this fucking inner sleeve artist is corny as fuck, because it's the 90s. And the 90s were easily the ugliest decade in existence. Cool stuff. Actually, the early 2000s were also pretty gross, but they kind of coincide, those two aesthetics. Yeah, it's mostly lyrics with these weird ass backgrounds. Got your liner notes though. Also, I think these tracks are out of order. I'm not gonna go through it, but I think they're out of order. There's the band. And there's someone really screaming. I mean, I don't know if that's Chris. Rest in peace. Check in on your friends, please. But I don't know if that's Chris screaming, or if it's just got the track list with the title track bolded, even though it's not the best one. The best one is clearly Spoon Man, or My Wave. That's a good one too. Okay, now this is one that I actually have not heard yet. Swing Revivalist Squirrel Nut Zippers. And I'd heard about this record because I heard that they were the only good swing revival band that existed. And I found it for $5 and I picked it up and I have not listened to it yet. So I will report back on what that sounds like whenever that happens. Get in there, bitch. The Strokes. Is this it? I think I got this at Newberry Comics as well. No, I think the Strokes are in the grand scheme of things overrated, and this is not their best album. Their best album is clearly Room on Fire. And I would even say that their new album is even better than this one. But I digress. Still a great record. Still some classics like the title track and Barely Legal. And I guess I have to give it credit for kind of sparking a revolution in indie rock music. You've got some members of production, I guess, the manager and the producer, the guru, whatever the fuck. And then you got the band members on the back. Where's Julian? There's Julian. There's Julian in all his glory. Some thank yous, and it's a nice little little fold out. But yeah, you gotta give it credit for being as influential and legendary as it is, even if it's not their best. Because sometimes the most influential thing is not going to be your favorite thing, and that's okay. Okay. Next, I got this Sun record, Life Metal. Sun is actually a band whose catalog I'm not all that familiar with, but I have heard these most recent albums, and from what I hear, this is definitely like good stuff if you want to get into like drone metal. It's very kind of bare bones drone metal, and which is good because I started with these and I have not heard any other Sun record, but this one's pretty good. Some very, very heavy compositions on here. It's on Southern Lord Records. Got the track listing on the back here. And from what I've seen of their live shows, they're very much about presentation. Look at that. That is totally what they would do at a concert, 100%. So yeah, if apparently if you want to get into drone metal, this record and Pyroclast, which I have on vinyl, are good things to get into. Especially this one, I think, just for the newer listener, because Pyroclast is literally just drones, whereas this has like a kind of melodic direction to it. Pyroclast is literally just drones. Next is a beast of an album. Swans, Soundtracks for the Blind. I'm wearing my Swans shirt for good reason, because they're great, and this record is insane. It's not really that, I don't think it's my favorite Swans record. A lot of people will call this like their magnum opus. You got the track list here. But it definitely is like a big moment for them. Apparently this record was taken from recordings that they did from like the 80s until like the 90s when they released it. So it's taken through a lot of time. This is, I believe these are lyrics. Yeah, these are lyrics. Lyrics and liner notes to go with those lyrics as well. This record is really long. It is 2.5 hours, and it's hard to get through. It's pretty hard to get through, especially on your first listen. But I think it's a pretty rewarding listen. It's got a lot of this is for, I don't know who I would recommend this to. I mean, Swans fans obviously, but like, I don't know. There's so many layers to this that you've got these kind of spoken word passages over these kind of ominous ambient passages, and you've got these really aggressive live performances, and you've got even like dance beats with the track Volcano. Here are the discs. There are these 2 discs are the actual album. It also comes with their EP that came right before it, that had some German spoken versions of some tracks that are on here, and some other stuff as well, like live things. But yeah, if you want to get into swans, I definitely wouldn't recommend starting with this at all. I'd probably start with The Great Annihilator, the record that came before this one, or some of their neo-folk stuff that came before that, like White Light from the Mouth of Infinity, which I will show you in a while. I got a lot of Swans records here. System of a Down, that's the right way, System of a Down, Mesmerize. A lot of people like to hate on this era of System of a Down because they got a lot more melodic and they got a lot more kind of melodramatic, but I think a lot of their best songwriting is on this thing. If I had to pick a favorite, I probably wouldn't pick this one. I'd probably pick the debut, but I mean, you gotta admit, some of the songs on here are killer songs. BYOB, obviously, Revenja even. Radio Video is great. Radio Video is super underrated, super underappreciated. Question is great, Sad Statue, the 2 Hollywood tracks. There's just a lot of great material on this. And System of a Down is one of those bands, one of those new metal bands that they're probably the least, like, how do I say this? One of the lesser cringy bands of that whole new metal sort of world. We got this picture, and I guess it folds out and does something else. I don't know. The folding stuff here is really really confusing. I guess that's Surge, the lead vocalist. If so, that's a scary image. Oh yeah, it's all the band members in these scary images. That's very nice. It's very cute, quirky. Got some more lyrics here. But yeah, if there was any good things to come out of new metal, which there were, I'm not trying to say that all alt metal is bad, but there's a lot of really cringy stuff out there. But System of a Down definitely is one of the best things that came out of that, along with Rage Against the Machine as well. Okay, let's pick up these CDs because I dropped them earlier. No. Talk Talk, Laughing Stock, one of my favorite albums ever. This was their final album before the band broke up in 90 something. I know this came out in 91, but I don't remember if they broke up immediately after. But Talk Talk has gone through a pretty interesting sort of progression of styles. You know, they started as the new big new wave. They were in the new romantic scene in the UK, and they made a bunch of money with singles like with "It's My Life," which is a very famous song if you haven't heard it. Here are lyrics for this. But after that, after they got all the success and all the money from those records and those singles, you know, they became a huge household name in new wave and new romantic, and they decided to just drop all of that. And they had the money now to recruit live session musicians to do these sort of improvisational sessions. Basically what they would do is they would invite like 50 different session musicians in, and they would play a theme and ask them to improvise around it. And basically they just recorded them for hours, and then they would take the stuff that they liked and put them in the tracks. And they did this with this record as well as their last record, Spirit of Eden. Yeah, they based, from what I understand, they took from the like over 50 musicians that came in to do sessions and they had recorded, they only used like 18 of them for the final product. And it's just really interesting to hear these kind of improvisations kind of sprinkled through the record. But it makes for like a transcendental experience. They're kind of the band that really put a head start to post-rock generally. So if you want to get into post-rock, I definitely recommend listening to this. Spirit of Eden probably first, because it's a little less mellow, but I definitely prefer this one. Alright, those are just going to be Fallen for now. Tangerine Dream, Phaedra. This is probably their most famous, well-known record. Progressive electronic extraordinaire, Tangerine Dream, with this that label. Again, Tangerine Dream's another one of those groups that I haven't delved into a lot of their work, but the stuff that I have delved into I can understand the influence that it's had on people like any IDM artist ever. Like an Aphex Twin or Boards of Canada even. Or even some people that I know personally. Don't give me that 20% battery remaining. Fuck you. But yeah. If you want to get into some kind of ambient, but not well, I guess it is ambient-ish electronic music, coming into its prime time. Tangerine Dream is a good group to check out. Okay, all right, I'm gonna pull out this Yes one just because it's on the ground, not on the ground, on the it's Fallen, but Yes, Fragile. I love prog, and so, gotta get my Yes. This record particularly, I think I like more than Close to the Edge, just because you get to hear all of the band members' individual ideas on this record. Basically what they did is they had like 3 songs that they wrote together. And then basically as an initiation for, I believe, the keyboardist, Rick Wakeman, they had each member compose their own 1 to 2 minute little track. And, they would kind of be the band leader of their own tracks. And I mean, they put it together and it made it into a somehow cohesive record. And you get to really hear the prowess of each of these musicians. I mean, each of them are just immensely talented at what they do. And it's definitely an easy album to get into. You won't have too much trouble getting into Yes, I don't think. If you want to get into prog, this is probably a good record to start. Also, their record, Close to the Edge, is a good one. And finally, to finish off my CDs, I got a couple of Tom Waits records here, starting with Swordfish Trombones. This was kind of his first big, move into kind of Beefheart-esque weirdness. This is definitely one of my favorite Tom Waits albums. I know everyone loves the Rain Dogs, but I mean, this is where it all started. This is where that shit started. You gotta respect it for where it started. Got the back here. Bone Machine 2. This was later in Tom Waits' career, in the 90s, and this one is quite scary at some points, but also has some of his most beautiful ballads too. This is again one of my favorite Tom Waits records. Like, I'm not like a Tom Waits stan or anything, but he's written some great ballads, and he has his own sound. And also that fucking, apparently that's just Tom Waits like wearing aviator glasses and making a face. That's all that is. It looks way scarier than it actually is. And the CD itself with the track list on there. There's a murder in the red barn, murder in the red barn. He loves singing about murdering people. Or not like him murdering people, but like stories about murderers. Kind of like Nick Cave. Except he didn't, I mean, Nick Cave kind of stopped doing that. But I guess so did Tom. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh, stop falling, please. Just stay where you are, I beg you. Stay. Those are my CDs and my tape. I cannot believe it took me like an hour, like over an hour, to go through the CDs alone. How am I going to do this? I have to go through my records now. I can't just stop now. I've already done my CDs. I have to go through all my records. Fuck. Okay, well, we'll try.